in the times when now there's both been said, Chief Wapasha, yes, or Chief Redwing had their tribe living across the river from us here. The oldest daughter was being forced to marry a brave she did not want to marry. And that was Winona. Winona meant oldest daughter. She didn't want to marry this guy. She got herself in a canoe, brought herself across the water, climbed up Maiden Rock, and jumped off.
Because last night the white pine forest that lined the river where it begins grew down into the earth as much as away from it. And because spring morning comes from the north to the delta in a wave that lifts the dark, unaired tires across the West Bridge, loadless freight cars lighting the tracks at sundown, the common egret culling still the sandbar, set between the levee and a new dike, trenched from water too low to bear another run. And because the moon moves away from us every year after harvest, until each red ember of light, burned deep into the ground, is fixed as a sharp prism of soil that buries itself beneath blackness until it brings us close to the animal West we have lost. Or because each way we find to complement our bodies in their lack begins with song and ends with a reason to leave ourselves to marshland and to bayou, grown down beneath the asphalt and the loam. And because there was, at first, a real mud before this mud. And because all of the reasons we have are the wrong ones. Because in the beginning, we are told, was the Word, and the Word is good, although not, perhaps, the way the common yellowthroat would lift itself from the white-skinned branch of the river birch, seated along the bog in short, wide spindles, swaddled into the taut shape buried things keep with time, until one spring, when the river comes up and stays full, and the small hooks and stones that keep underground things fixed wash loose and away, and the valley recedes to the grassed islands it will eventually become, then unbecome. And because in the evening your breath is soft the way a foal's is, brushed and blanketed in its stall, then turned back to pasture to munch the last tufts of brome grass and rye, sprouted along the fence row, drawn shallow but clean between each step and its next. Because this is the only way we have with which to say we are sorry.
Long time now. It used to be easy. Everybody used to share work and stuff with you down here. Not no more. It's strange, you know. Like I'm from Chicago. And you know, totally different world. Nobody up there lives on the street, burning up shelter with none less than water.
There's this lovely old cross standing high on a hill, a place where thousands have trod. This cross can be seen by its beautiful light, and it stands on the old bald knob. You will find this big cross down in southern Illinois, surrounded by beautiful trees, where the whippoorwill calls and the mockingbird sings, and the heavenly refreshing breeze. Well, I know you're wondering what gave it its name, the name of the old bald knob, because nothing grew on top of the hill that was made by a wonderful God. Thank you, Jesus.
Andromache, I think of you, the wide mud stream that tears your country in two, poor and emptying to its clearest ends, a mirror to your long ache. This place, too, is your grief. It comes to me as I watch a half-sunk refrigerator buoy with current, the color of spilled milk clotted with industrial ash, pass beneath the Eade Street Bridge at dawn, beside the hill where my grandfather once helped to lay black bodies pulled from the river after a grain barge tipped a ferry along the east bank. Now, there is a concrete retaining wall with a sketched outline for a mural titled Sacagawea with Child. Change, it seems, is on everyone's mind. But there are things you told me once we can never lose. The unkept secrets we give to rain and spring, the sound of the earth transpirated to snow in the suburbs, the way children learn to lie, naturally. Those things you wanted but could not imagine. Still, not far north, the prairie grass that took hundreds of millennia to decompose to soil will be impotent before we die. My home, too, is a bird in the thickets with wings drawn against the wind. The old river is dead. I see this as I saw last week outside Memphis, and traffic lined up behind a semi loaded with chicken crates that had careened across the median and tipped just before the bridge that runs over Crane Creek. Most of the crates, which were 8 inches tall, made of composite wood and wire and crammed with beakless birds that had never flown, split open on the ground. The driver, dazed, fat and jake-legged, carried his broken right wrist in his left hand and shuffled dying chickens whose bodies popped and writhed like sparks in a summer fire with short, slow kicks into 3 piles for no reason but an innate sense of order as pronounced by classification and separation. The diesel engine still purring, the whistle of steam spouting from a fractured radiator, a ribbon of blood and feather duff spilling through the gutters on the bridge into the dry creek bed below. My home, too, is a thicket filled with bird wings drawn against the wind.
Commercial fishermen down here in Venice, fish drumfish. Got a lot of stuff to do down here, hunting, fishing, a lot of scenery. Catch some alligators every now and then. Just ride 4-wheelers. A lot of stuff to do down here.
These are the things that matter. 3 horses on the hill crest, heads bowed to pasture, tails swatting slow as morning rain and rhythm. Blue and yellow finches darting from the brush lining the road that runs from town past the old white slat Lutheran church and cemetery, across the South Clark County line, over the iron bridge that gathers the ridge line and empties a 1/4 mile from the house where the 4 pretty girls lived, into loose gravel and mud on the other side of the levee. 4 daughters with hair the color of wheat pennies, and eyes like the belly of an ash leaf grown near the ground, who did not come to town for school, and who had no names anybody knew, and who grew up and moved away and left back nothing but a faint longing and a barn plank swing hung from the front yard poplar. Heat lightning in the north country come early. Wild iris and foxglove grown thick along the creek that runs through the east gully in spring. The butter light in the upstairs bedroom window after midnight in the old White House on the corner of Lincoln and Main. The sound my son makes, preening, as he presses his face against Anne's breast and drinks in the early morning gray of his small bedroom. The way it took you almost a year to remember the street names and the new city where you lived, for the first time away from your only home, walking the same half-remembered circuits through the blocks surrounding your single room every morning. Lost in a way only those who have come from the earth can feel. Until one day in August, while talking to a strange man on the sidewalk, you heard yourself say something about the next corner being yours, and you felt immediately as if something had been pulled loose and broken, but were unsure about who exactly had lied and who had been lied to.
Ready? Okay, so we grabbed our treble hooks and put a weight on them so they'd sink right in front of their face, and as soon as the fish gets within our range, give it a slight jig, and then we'll know for sure we got it on.
Oh, you're gonna get the ball.
Let's back off, man.
Give me $20 and I won't tell them.
I think like give me 20 and I'll bring 3
First you have to cut something deep enough to make it count. Then you have to count it. Blood on oil slicks in the parking lot at dusk. The tight helix of a hidden life unspun. The soft blue shape moonlight makes under ice. First, you find the bone, the only one that holds the body together. Next, unconstellate the scales of something we believe did not feel it felt. After, forget what you have forgotten. First, you must decide what you are waiting for. First, you have to wait.
Life on the streets, I say in a way it's fair, but in a way it's not. It's just what you make of it and how you make of it. But most of the time, you work and got a job. Most people that can't, they do what they can do. They try to provide, but most of them don't.
After midnight, the moon rises full again in the same place it always does in June. Split between the branches of the black walnut in the north corner of the backyard. There is one road that leads home from here, and a different one that can bring you back once you have left. For 2 days I have watched you without your knowing, furrow trenches and plant the good things we will eat. Your hands spun from sunlight and soil, opening the day to what we keep within the closed secret of our silent bodies. If the river is supposed to be the father of waters, you said to me once, after seeing the phrase inscribed on a statue in the Hennepin County Courthouse, below the massive figure of a bearded white man sitting on eddies, the backs of dragons, and a steam wheel, then the mother is everything around it. The lines of your face smoothed still in a way neither defiant nor delivered. The way you looked when they told you your father was sick and wouldn't be coming home. Or the time we hit a button buck south of town and watched it drag itself into the roadside thickets with 2 broken legs. 3 trucks heading north turned around, lined the shoulder of the highway, each with a man who claimed to have seen us first. Men who stood back in boots and jackets, waiting for the tow before beginning the dark and necessary division.
I'm a bird in a cage. I'm writing songs for all the stars. And I'm tired of being in jail. I want to get paid for it. Like this. Let my dog play with your pussycat. I said, let my dog play with your pussycat. He loved to bury his bone late at night to the early morn. So he unplugs the phone to get it on. Don't care if he's right or wrong. Like to burn a lot of energy, cause he's so damn frisky. Like to get real kinky and drink up some whiskey. All on the wall, on the floor down the hall.
3 days of rain now, and the sugar maple in the pasture has begun to take notice. 3 days of rain, and the cigarette butts, ATM receipts, business cards of showgirls who twist their ways across the river fill the storm drain grates on every corner of the landing. Tonight, you come to me the way any forgotten thing comes to something else incapable of remembering. 3 days and the street lights below the hill shed the stain of the sand crane and January and diesel smoke all year. But listen, only the animal knows animal ways. If we are to find the nature of our lost past, who do we turn to? How do we go about becoming? You have to learn how to wait. You used to tell me at the start of each spring, when the daffodil shoots break through the mulch and landscape netting along the bank parking lot on Jefferson. You have to want to know how to wait. And in tonight's blue pitch, I wait in a country that does not need us. And again tonight, the soft comfort of your body spreads across my skin like clover from the south field in morning. Your mouth, a thrush song of magnolia blooms and sweet blue nettle. Your sadness, hung full in the dark cage bones become, always with time. These are the things that matter. The way the wind can lift the water from the ground when it wants to. The way an old white Buick, stopped where Washington meets Columbia at State, idles its brake lights thick in the pre-dawn echo of an empty city. Nothing else moving, except a short, strung-out black man wearing an oversized coat who saunters back and forth between two dark houses, crossing into and out of the diluted gold arch of the street lamp by the empty lot across the street. His breath funneling clouds into the light when he steps into the ring, and then away until he is gone, lost in the darkness, like the gateway shine of downtown across the river from here, dims against the red beacon lights at the top of the smokestacks on the big river zinc and Monsanto plants that line this side of the river. Like the sound of the Buick's deep throat running, and the brake lights, and the smoke gone to rising. Split asphalt and tar on the crown. Mud Island under spring thaw when it shouldn't be. The thin space between the doors of the shed where a stranger keeps his lawnmower and the tools his father left that he does not know how to use, where a mother raccoon detaches her spine to teach her kids to melt into the night-lit world that is theirs now as much as it is ours. Cancer welling in the spring lot. 4 dead hoot owls by the crick behind the barn. Fresh cider when the time's right. Cold moonlight poured on hemlock boughs beside the cemetery on the ridge. The names we can no longer read. The things we read but no longer write.
Happy. Yeah, especially because it's a girl, because I already have a little boy. He's 2. He's turning 3 in August, and so I mean he's really happy too that he's gonna have a little sister. Yeah, and my husband is too. We're gonna have the pair. Yeah,
I'm happy too. I'm happy to be an aunt again. I just can't wait till the baby comes because I'm gonna be the one that's gonna take care of my sister and the baby. So I'm happy.
First, you have to bury something deep between the bowels. Then you have to carry it for a long time. First, you must find a name that makes it yours and learn to call it something else instead. You have to change yourself in ways not possible. Lose the things that keep you safe to save the thing that makes you whole. No sleep for the first years. Unknit clothes found buried in the closet too late. One long road spread straight across the bottoms with no bend, disappearing at a point in haze below the horizon. You have to find a way to unstitch the letters of dark words among the briars and craft a braid that ties them into kinder songs with time. First, find a way to trace the wind that holds the stars in tune and carries them to dusk. You must understand this thing you've grown will also someday end. First you find that all things, in their ways, are gone already.
he bothers me as much as possible. He's a fisherman. He loves to hunt and fish, and I enjoy the wildlife. I'm not killing anything unless it's shooting at me first.
Please don't touch me, you said once in the darkness of our room. And I laid back against the hard thrum of chorus frogs in the cattle pond kept beneath the hill. The rain, like round-rolled creek stones, scattered across the roof in waves. The neighborhood aglow in the light of flat-panel television screens. And you said it again. Don't touch me. Into the sheets, under your breath. Outside, wood toads filled the valley with spring and leapt against the headlights of passenger cars on the highway. The tidal shelf of the moon held our shadow on its edge. Inside, the quiet pockets of our lives etched a dark gospel of life lived forever without.
Since I was a little kid, and it's a progressive thing. You get into, you want to learn how to build stuff. You go talk to old timers, and well, show me how to build a box trap? Show me how to build a hoop net. You don't learn this stuff in a book in college. Sorry.
These are the things that matter. The dredge boat in water below the city line where teenagers come to smoke and wait. The same place where a man sits every day under a row of crepe myrtles in the park, wearing a red hat and a blue t-shirt, reading an old book about addiction recovery through salvation he found outside a church on Upper Broad. The ways wild iris keeps summer closed to silence. A door unlocked without a key. There is a way to show kindness that reigns beneath the skin but settles in the blue light our breath becomes when leaving after dawn. The thing that suffocates in nets, braided by a lonely man in a lonely place. The way he learned to tie them through practice. The one way we are all, always, alone. Your hands moving beneath the sheets of your childhood bed, folding each corner to its rightness. Your name spelled soft as dandelion duff and hay dust, spun in the loft. Your tongue curled dark as the rim of the lake shore, your hips flushed thick as a mason jar of honey at high tide. These are the things we do to hurt one another. These are the songs we hang to keep us safe. This is the way to separate the world from the earth and let one go. This is the reason you never got to say goodbye.
Hey, bro, you think your man was just licking all over him, huh? Tell that hoe, talk to her. I don't want you licking all over me all the time, motherfucker. You let me lick your fucking ass, motherfucker. How you like me lick your fucking ass all the time, huh?
Now, get all the hair off your tongue. Look.
I got it.
First you have to pull the land from the ground, then you have to make it sing. You have to find the word within the stone and learn to keep it buried. You must give time to the sun. First you have to bring the body back, shave the seed from the stalk, register the stars to their sin. First you have to understand forgiveness. First, you will resurrect the past.
One thing about these whores down here, they need money. Can't get no pussy with no money. Hey, simple as that.
My love, the world is disappearing. Foreclosure signs by the roadway, scattered seed left strewn about the yard, the first steeple built here sunk to briar, antique names kept as totem at the ballots, memories charted in the blood. South of here, where poor folk tread water to death in their attics and suffocated against the storm surge, news crews struggled to shape a story that kept us above our failings. Each new year, sheathed in an orchard light of stars. In this too, there is change. Again I think of you, Andromache, and of the dark way not even your loss could ever be your own. Your country burned, Scamandrius thrown from the city gates, your tears washing through the valley, the hard silence of your widowhood spindled around its fallow core, your plight lost in the sameness of everyone else's. And I think of the shipwrecked, of the immigrant, the mother standing dazed in bright aisles, calculating the too small expansion of milk against bread, the scarlet ibis hatching her young in the shallow bowl of an ash heap kept in chain link outside the refinery. Down the street, the Teflon factory calls its workers home with a siren, 2 short blasts, then 1 long, which draws into what is not silence, but is not as full as sound. This morning, your hair circles in the light that rings the city. The coal smoke that lifts below the East Lake shoals the plain between your eyes to the spillway. The layered hum of your leaving, pulling amber across the prairie.
I know, he might fall over.
Make no mistake about it, this has been an extreme situation for the Twins to have to deal.
Just see if your son tonight, it'll be today Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, Sunday. 6 days from now.
In the end, you show me love, caught deep in the way I live against you. The snowy egret nesting with song, the quiet speech of the brown pelican disappearing. All your lapping, lost to a world of deeper cares, and older. And if I lift from here, if I unfold myself from the fiddlehead of the North Country or the poplar sapling of the South into your becoming, what then? All my heart has left my bones, folded cruel and guiltless as your loosed silt, born beneath a sun that will come again. Willow reeds dried on the seawall, a soul turned nesting the marsh, swollen muscles turning the flood road into something different, but familiar. You have your place among the soundful. I keep mine against the dead. The squall comes in and goes out, gray plumes pillaring the sky between the marsh islands the river becomes before it ends. I have found you where all things come to a close and where they begin. But this is not true. I have not found you or anything here. Listen, none of this really matters. The wind comes in the spring and stays through spring. The water rises, or it doesn't. Nothing means anything without us. Still, this is not the first time you have been here. A man on the street is saying that it's really women who run the world, although he uses a different word for them. And whether or not this is true, it's certainly women who suffer it. We grow the natural way, but it is exactly this that keeps us from growing. We carry the thing that makes us animal, but keeps us from it, which makes this place our home, while killing it. So what should we do? The fountain flows the ducks to forgetting. The birds sing the trolley far past close. My hands shake the gravel from the drive in a way not done since someone who lived here once came home from a war he did not start or understand, and that no one won. This is what we have lost, and what keeps us up at night. The ability to discern the difference between living and being alive. So you give yourself over to the voice of another name, an older one that does not listen when you call or answer when you cry, one where hollow pitch of a flat road disappears at the horizon, where the sound of water moving through stone underground makes sense not to question.
Well, she used to say all I like to do was manger, which was eat.
Italians, mangia.
Yeah, that's what I remember her saying that, you know.
Tonight, after midnight, I slip my kayak into the reservoir near my house under a full moon to steal a moment from my neighbors' lives as they sleep. Small lights glow within the hill while the water rises against a dam that keeps water, for a while, in another tributary that carries our great river to the Gulf. And I think of the dozens of ash-colored caterpillars that crawled early this morning across the screens in my son's nursery windows. "Dada," he said, slapping at each with an open palm, knocking them 2 stories to the ground until I closed the glass partition to keep them safe. "Dada," he said, smearing his fingerprints against the translucent glass. Autumn is coming, and within it, the whole year keeps its course. The mallards and geese, who are kept here year-round to entertain the patrons of the marina bar and eat the food scraps thrown into the gasoline slicks that rainbow the water's surface, collect around me and dive, seamlessly, for mussels and insects buried in clay. In water, the old ways shimmer in waves that carry us both away from and towards the places we still need to believe in. At home, only you remain the past. No one remembers. For now, though, it is enough. A cool breeze sweeps the valley. The round moon shrinks with distance into its company of stars. The world, we somehow remember, can be immeasurably good, though kept from us in ways not expected. The soapstone shimmer of night reflected along the shore, sleek birds disappearing under darkness, the sound we hear echoed when something wild breaks back above the skin. This is how you will know I loved you. Of all the things I found here, there are some I left unnamed.
We are the gateway to the south, or whatever they are. But we got to improve. We got to build back up, and we going to. Got it?
Little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.